Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Real Football Talk. Today we'll be doing the review of the whole Premier League season. We'll be going through five teams: Leeds, Manchester City, Manchester United, Newcastle, and Sheffield. We'll be reviewing their performance in the league, in Europe, and also in the domestic cups. We'll be talking about their whole overall season, who are their outstanding players, what they need to do for next year, and in terms of what grade we think they deserve depending on their performance. The first club I want to talk about let's start with Man City. Adil, what was your take on Man City and their season?
Yeah, I think, Man City had a phenomenal season, but obviously, choking in the Champions League final, and the manner in which they lost it, really put a dampener on their season. I just think, they got beat quite comfortably at the end. For all what they've done in the league, and they won the Carabao Cup, they went semi-final of the FA Cup. I just feel like a lot of things went for them in the Champions League from the group stages. I remember a lot of, the games, decisions were going their way. In the knockout stage, decisions went their way. So for them to mess it up in the last hurdle, when it just felt like it was their season, and the manner in which, they didn't create any chances or they didn't really test Mendy that much. They never played to the standards that we know they can. I just think, it ends up feeling a bit like a disappointing season because of that. But that's kind of shows what an achievement Man City have made, because they set the bar so high for themselves that but it is all about the Champions League. But I still feel they done an amazing job to come back from the start that they had to win the league, and they played some excellent football. During the January till March. I mean, they played some fantastic football. So I still think they've had an unbelievable season, a good season.
Bales, what did you make of this season?
Pretty much, I echo what Adebayo is saying. We've gotten used to them winning the league, so I feel like that was a formality for them, especially.
I think the League Cup should be named after them, isn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna get onto that. I think they've won the league title, League Cup every season under Pep. So those two trophies that they've won, it's become a formality. Like 3 Premier League titles in 4 years. The one that they should have won was that Champions League, and that would have pushed their season onto an A-star. There was a point they looked like they were going to win the quadruple, but they come up against the Chelsea side, and I think it showed their problems. The fact that they don't have a striker, I think really cost them in them 2 matches, because Chelsea obviously sat back, defended really, really well, made it hard for them to be beaten. And if they had a striker there, someone that could just sniff out a chance, that probably would have been the difference in their season being a really, really great season compared to just being a very good season.
You know what I thought, like the start they had, they were I think 7th or 8th, and everyone kind of was starting to write them off, etc. And then from then on to, like, I think from as you mentioned, from December onwards, that run and that gap they took, I mean, that was just phenomenal. And for me, that deserves obviously a lot of credit. But you expect them to do that, a team of that caliber, for them, you expect that from them. And in terms of Champions League, this is the furthest they ever gotten to. Obviously, in my view, Pep messed up with his tactics, and that's why they lost the final. But I think they've had a superb season.
I think like the thing is, maybe I do feel this City team has been maybe slightly overhyped, and I'm guilty of it myself.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the stats, they have lost a lot of games. Even in the back end, they've lost a lot of games. So this isn't like the old domineering City team, and I don't think they will be now. Now it's very difficult for a team to be that dominating anymore because of the quality of the Premier League right now. You know, we got a lot of teams trying to break into the top thing. So I just think the gaps are closing between the top half and the top six in the Premier League now. So I don't think their achievement is as great. I think more is maybe their achievements have been, highlighted a bit more because of the fact that they were in such a bad position and the run they were on. But everyone has faltered, and I do think this is a season where the league is quite weak. But one of the things that kind of correlates with that is the hype around Diaz's performances. And even though I do think it is one of the best signings because of what he brought to see, I actually don't think his performances have been as standout as people are making out. Like, everyone's adamant he should be player of the season, but there's not actually many games you can say he's been a standout player. I mean, City are good defensively. When they're keeping the possession the way they are, it's very hard to create chances against them. So, and what he's brought is leadership, communication, and for those qualities, you will say, yeah, he's exactly what City needed. As a signing, it was a great signing, maybe the best signing of the season because of the difference he's made in that regards. But when you actually talk about player of the season, you got to look at performances. And I think his performances have been underwhelming because of the fact that City are that good as a team in defending. And recently, when they've had to open up a bit, I'm talking about the Leeds game, we're talking about, Aston Villa recently, he's been exposed as a defender, even against Chelsea, he's been found wanting. He does, the odd block and, but there's so many players. I mean, you look at the whole Aston Villa and Burnley backline, they all love blocking. That's not such a special skill for me. And his performance in the cup final where he got dominated by Havertz and in the air, and he never really got close to him to challenge him for any of the headers, just showed me, yeah, there's holes in his game as a defender. But yeah, was he a good signing for what they needed at the club? Yeah, but I still think maybe his performance again overrated.
I mean, he leads to. Yeah, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I think there's more to it than just his performances. I think when you talk about some like inspired signings like Cantona, Van Dijk, it's what they bring to the team as a whole. And you just see Ruben Diaz come in, has brought another level out of John Stones. He's made Man City a lot more solid, and that's why they were able to push on to where they did push on. So I think maybe
I think performance counts as well. For me, I think that's great. I mean, he has definitely done that, and I agree with you on that. But when you think about standout performances as a centre back, he hasn't had any. I can't remember one game where I thought, wow, City won that game because this guy was the difference. And as a club, what he's brought to the club and the team and the back line, yeah, undoubtedly for that, I'd say he's still the signing of the season. But to say player of the season when he's barely stood out in any game, I think that's a bit much. Personally,
I mean, it leads to the next topic that we wanted to talk about is the player of the season. I mean, in your view, I mean, we've done the video. I know it's Gundogan. Bills, who do you think they should be the best player for their team?
I'm gonna go a bit different. I feel Phil Foden has been a really good player this season. Some crucial performances in crucial games. He's come on leaps and bounds. He was patient, and he's just shown what he can do. He's quick. He affects everything good. I think it was in the semi-final against PSG. He came alive in that game, and for me, I feel like it was Phil Foden.
He's a big player when he shines in the big stage. Again, what he did to Liverpool, took the game by the scruff of the neck in that second half. He's a special talent.
I mean, even against Dortmund, it was again Foden. That was the difference maker, and then again PSG. Obviously,
I mean, it's hard to criticize any player from the City team this season. I mean, everyone's been played well. You know, it's harsh not to even mention Ferran Torres. You know, he scored at the start of the season. He was scoring a lot of key goals that was getting them the 1-0 wins. So in terms of Premier League impact, he's had a lot. And that's when they had injuries to their strikers and everything. So I think as a squad, yeah, and that's the thing. City team there's not been this any one player that's dominated the season for them. It's different players at different times. It felt like there's been a spell where it's been Torres. There's been a spell where it's been Mahrez. There's been a spell where it's been De Bruyne. Then Gundogan. Yeah, it feels like it's different players have carried and shared it out amongst the team. Yeah. So that's why it's quite hard to assess players, because I think it's, again, the key to them is the system and Pep more than any one player. Maybe that's an area they can improve on.
Player of the season.
Yeah, and maybe that's why that's an area they can improve on, is maybe getting you feel like that squad you know, needs just an X factor player. You know, and if there's rumors they really want Grealish and Kane. I mean, honestly, I think the Kane deal is done. Because you could tell with the way Kane changed his style, he became more of a false nine, and it just felt like
So what? So you would think it was done from, like, say, January,
February? I think February, March time. It was something between them. There's an agreement, but it's all about what the Spurs sell. But I just think that's a done deal behind the scenes, and I think they want Grealish, and I think that's scary if they get Grealish.
Well, they want to get rid of, from the rumors I've been reading, they want to get rid of Mahrez and Sterling. So
I'm not sure about that, but
how does Grealish fit into a squad like that with De Bruyne, with Foden? With
I think he easily fits in, because he when you look at his style, he is the archetypal Pep player. Like, he wants the ball all the time under pressure. I can see Pep turning him into maybe a midfielder, like an Iniesta style, because of the way he plays, the way which he can take the ball under pressure. He could change his game, but for me, I mean, Grealish is the real deal. So, you know, for me, I think.
So would you? I mean, the other question I was going to have, Adi, was going to be, I mean, what do they need to do to improve or go to that next level for next year? And I mean, it's clear that obviously you think the signing.
I do think they need an X factor player, and if they need, you know, they clearly do need a striker who plays the number 9 role, which is Kane. You know, Kane is perfect because he actually is a natural striker who's comfortable playing the number 9 role. So I think if they get them to, and you know, obviously they've always wanted to, you know, strengthen that left backing, you know, sell Mendy. So they'll probably maybe try something there, but you know, there's not much. I mean, if they get those,
I mean, that's one area that definitely needs improving, doesn't it? It's just crying out. Even though they bought Mendy for 50 million, he just hasn't worked out. He's too busy going to China or somewhere else.
Yeah, if they're playing Cancelo ahead of him, then you know, he's not totally trusted.
Bills, any input on that? And I mean, what do they need to improve in terms of Man City?
Definitely need a striker. Like I said, the key games where they lost was crying out for a striker. Kane makes absolute sense, but do I see Man City spending what they're quoting 150 to 200 million?
You want him at United, don't you?
Yeah, I do want him at Man United, but for me, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't seem like a Pep style.
I think they've got surplus players that they're willing to trade.
Yeah, I think they'll go for someone a bit younger, a bit more raw, like a Lautaro Martinez makes a lot of sense as well.
No, I just don't see how they fit into Pep's system. It's a false 9 system. I think that's a done deal. I mean, you could tell. I thought that in March, so now everyone's talking about it, but I noticed Kane changing his style, and it felt like there was something going on there, because he was playing false 9, and then he became even deeper, playing it even more strictly. He wasn't making anyone, so it just felt like, yeah. Then suddenly a month later, the announcement comes that Aguero's being sold. City are smooth operators, man. I just think, yeah, they fixed that one.
I mean,
they're the only one that.
And I think the way they're gonna please Tottenham is by giving money plus players.
Yeah.
quick one to end, really. In terms of Man City and their grade for this season, Adi, what were you going for?
I gave them an A because of where they were and the comeback they did to, that's a lot of mental resilience. And like you said, it's still an improvement for them to get to the Champions League final.
Bills?
I gave them an A. I was tempted to give them a B plus, but I thought that'd be a bit harsh because they do win the league and Carabao Cup quite often, so there's nothing new there. But the fact that they did get to a Champions League final, I think deserves an A. If they won that Champions League final, would have been an A-star, no, top season, but just a little short there.
I mean, I gave them a plus because of obviously how they came back from last season, even though they got the players, etc. But considering they changed their style of way they're playing, etc. So that's why I gave them A plus. Sorry. Let's move on to the next team on the list, Manchester United. Bills, I'll come to you straight away. Season review. What did you make of the overall season?
In terms of progress, we have made progress. Last season finished third. I think when Oli took over, it was like 6th or 7th or something like that. So he's shown an upward trajectory, getting second. I feel like we choked a little bit towards the end of the season. I think Adebayo called it out after that Roma game. He said Oli's gonna not know how to come back from this. Like he's gonna go on a losing run, and it shows that we did go on a losing run. I think he got it horribly wrong with making all those changes, too many changes, not getting that fluidity going, and then I think that affected us. So losing in the Europa League to a Villarreal team, a very bad Villarreal team, good defensively, but they offered nothing going forward, and I felt he was too scared of losing to try and win that game. I feel that from that game, if he doesn't learn from it, it just shows that Oli might not be the right guy to win stuff for Man United. He's building something, building a nice project here, but in terms of taking it to that next step, I don't think so. I feel kind of disappointed. It looked like it was going to be a very good season, but losing in the Europa League final, losing to Leicester in the FA Cup, and then the way we ended the season, it just felt like a really bad season. There was a middle part of that season we were really, really good, like scrapping games, scoring 4 goals, and looking really defensively solid. And I think losing Harry Maguire shows a lot of problems that Man United have as well in the defensive areas.
Adi, what would you add to that in terms of this season?
Yeah, I feel like the progress is kind of overstated. And it's getting overrated because at the end of the day, finishing second is nothing in a season where I think City, I mean, how many games did they lose in the league at the end? I mean, there's quite a lot. Most teams lost a lot of games this season. So I just feel like finishing second when so many teams went through transition.
City have lost the same amount of game as Man United.
Which is what, 8, 9?
6. It was 6.
6.
Yeah.
So, I just don't think their progress is as high as everyone is making. I think because it's only everything gets rated higher because no one expected him to do even the progress that he has made. I mean, he's made, in terms of uniting the club, the fan, the boardroom, the players, he's done that. He's got an identity of what type of player he wants. He's being smarter with the money he's getting. He's getting better characters in. He's making sure they're not doing these marquee signings that were used in the club, and they're not being used by agents as much. So in terms of the signing process and the playing squad, he made a big improvement. And I think because of less mistakes in the transfer markets, that's the progress that United have made. Is they're not making mistakes on the back. In terms of actually looking at their development on the field, if you compare it to last season, there's not actually much difference. The football they're playing is much better from last season. I mean, they're still a team that you don't know what philosophy they're doing. You still don't know what, they win games in moments. They never win a game by dominating it from being, they win in spells. A quick 15-minute turnaround here, quick, last-minute comeback. So for me, that was similar to last season. So in terms of playing style, I feel like it's very similar to last season. They're still not defined. They still rely on counter-attacking opportunities to score. So development as a team, I don't think is there. If you look at last season, Oli, he never trusted a lot of the players. You've improved the squad. You've got players you don't like out of the club, and you still don't trust the players. You know, you brought Donny van der Beek. You got Ahmad Diallo. You've got a squad. You got Tellers. You don't trust them. You've actually made it a B team, your second string, and you've let the players know. So that's exactly what he did last year. That was his flaw. Last year, he done the same thing in terms of at the end, always putting his best players out, whether they fitted the system or the opposition or not. What did he do in the final? Exact same thing. So I feel like actual Man United's progress and Ollie's progress with Man United is overstated. It's not that dissimilar to last year. The same problems exist. He doesn't make tough decisions, tough calls. He relies on players and not a system or thing. And that's, you know, at the end of the day, when you look at the hard facts, it's not actually that much progress that United have made. It's just they've made less mistakes in the transfer window, and that you can credit Oli for. So, you know, but that's not big progress, in my opinion, not for a club of United's ambition.
I mean, from where they were to where they're getting to in terms of second place, Europa League final, it's still massive.
I don't think it means anything. Second place in a poor season doesn't mean anything.
I think it's just.
I do.
I think what Hassan is saying, and I agree with
At the end of the day, let's be honest. Leicester, Chelsea, they lost. You know, they lost the last few games. You know, bottom line is United could have easily turned and ended up third or fourth. The gap between third and fourth is hardly anything at the end.
But the last couple of games, they've been changing, and they didn't pay that much attention to those games either.
Yeah. No, they still played. There's only one game they played their backups. The rest were their first team.
No,
So
I think towards the end they were focusing more on the.
At the end of the day, Hassan, second place means nothing. You weren't ever even in an title. It means nothing. You know, who cares? It's not because you're the second best team. It's because everyone else is third worst.
Well, I mean,
so you know, it means nothing. At the end of the day, you got to look at progress on the pitch, progress with the manager. Is he learning? Is he improving? And he has improved slightly, but when it came down to the crunch, the old Oli came back, where he doesn't rotate his squad, he doesn't trust players, he's got 2 different 11s, and he sticks to it. Come on, how is it you can't trust a 40 million player, Donny van der Beek, who's a starter for Netherlands? He took Ajax to the Champions League semi-finals this season. How is it you can't even trust him to play in a minute of a big final when you're drawing?
I feel like
holding on. You're holding on the whole second half.
Yeah, he wanted the penalties. You could tell. You could tell the decision.
He doesn't trust the players, though. Reality,
right.
He doesn't trust the players. He only trusts those 11. What's the point of signing Tellers? What's the point of Jadon Sancho signing, or these guys signing? Ultimately, he sticks to 11. He only trusts his best 11. This is what he did last season.
I mean, I'm gonna move on because obviously we've spoken about this before. In terms of next season, Adil, what do they need to do? Where do they need to improve to get to that next level of maybe winning that Europa League final or challenging for that title?
Yeah, I think they need actually to sign some leaders. I mean, they definitely do need a right winger. They do need a centre back. You know, they do need a centre midfielder. I think they'll go. But the thing is, the names I'm seeing, they're all good players, but they're not leaders. They're not guys that are going to take United to the next level. You know, Cavani is the only signing they've done that is a next level signing, but he's old. He's not, you know, he's 33 already. So I just feel like United are going for talented players, but they haven't got a manager who can instill winning mentality. So they need players who already know how to win. And who can teach it, because the manager can't teach it. He's shown it. You know, he every single time he ends up getting Alex Ferguson involved. because he doesn't trust himself or believe in himself enough to do it, to bring that mentality to the players himself. So I just think the profile of players they're going, even though they're decent players and they're better than what we've got, if we want to take the next step, they need to be guys who have won stuff and can handle that pressure, like Eric Cantona when he came. You know, he won the league with Leeds the season before, and he brought that mentality to every player. You know, and I just think that's where United are. And Jadon Sancho is a great player, but he hasn't won nothing.
Who would you suggest then in terms of a player of that caliber that United can get?
No, I think like obviously if you're going for setup, like get Ramos. Get Ramos. He's going to teach the players the demands it takes to win at all costs mentality, or you know, just players who have won stuff. You know, get one of the defenders from Atletico Madrid, or you know, they just won the league title, or get Sal Niguez, no problem. But you want to get guys who are key players and are leaders.
Bills, anything to add on that in terms of what United need, or do you agree with Adam?
Yeah, we do need a centre back. I agree. We need a leader. I wouldn't say Ramos. He'd be too similar to Harry Maguire in terms of he hasn't got the speed anymore. So we need someone that's
Harry Maguire ain't a leader, man. The guy doesn't shout at anyone.
Raphael Varane. I'm thinking Raphael Varane would be a nice compliment to Harry Maguire. In midfield, I was thinking Declan Rice, something like that would be nice. But I think we were linked with Saul Niguez, who is a bit more of a winner. Probably a bit better player and more what we need than Declan Rice, and I think it would complement Pogba or Bruno very nicely. Jadon Sancho on the right makes perfectly good sense, but I think Cavani is the right answer, but he's the wrong age. So I think we do need a striker. We do need a Harry Kane. That will be ultimately the difference, because Greenwood's still too young. He's not ready to take that role, and I don't think he's ready for a few years.
I think even United have moved on from Harry Kane. I think they even know he's booked.
Well,
let's see what happens, isn't it? In terms of the best player for the team this year, Bills, who would you say was United's best performer?
A few standout performers were Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw, I thought, was really good all season. Didn't really put a foot wrong this game.
He's dying.
Yeah. Well, but he's got himself an England call up. He created the most chances.
Yeah, he done great on the pitch today, didn't he? Where was he? Not even on the bench. He playing Trippier at left back.
Well, that's Gareth Southgate. That's got nothing to do with.
Oh, that's because of they came back late. That's another story.
I know.
But Bruno, obviously, 28 goals, 18 assists. A lot of people say he goes missing in big games. I just feel like because Man United is so reliant on him, it's in a big game, it's kind of easier to mark him out of the game, because Man United trying to play through him, and if they can't get him involved in the game, he's having to come so deep to get the ball. It's going to be hard for him to affect the game. But yeah, for me, Luke Shaw and Bruno were. And
there's only three players that decent for United, man.
Yeah, I'll give it to Bruno.
It's only McTominay, Greenwood, and Cavani. Other than that, the rest were just.
Greenwood only last 10 minutes.
You wouldn't say Fernandes.
Nah, even when he wasn't scoring, he played like a United player should, wanting the ball, taking the game to the opposition. Everyone else, I'll be honest, everyone talks about Luke Shaw. If you see his last 2 months, he was a joke. He didn't want to put a tackle in. He thinks he's a playmaker, not a left back. He doesn't want to defend. All he wants to do is dribble forward. All he wants to do is dribble forward and never run back.
No, but at the beginning he was doing that. Maybe the last 2 months he took it off the pace, but
it don't matter. I mean, the season counts in the last 2 months. If you're choking, then you're not a player. You're just not a player.
That's true.
Get it? So it's just my opinion. I just think certain players just get always overrated. Shaw is one of them. You know, he does a little bit good, and everyone goes on like he's the best left back in the world. Only three players that done decent for United for me is McTominay, Greenwood, and Cavani. The rest, I mean, even Fernandes, for all his stats, when business end of season, what did he do? He spent more time crying to referees than he was shouting at his own teammates. He's got the armband, and he's not even shouting at his own teammate. He's shouting at the referee to get a foul. He's more interested in getting fouls than he is actually winning the game.
Adi,
He's played too many games.
I'm gonna move it. I'm gonna move it on. In
Yep.
terms of the grade, what did you give them, United?
I gave United a C.
Bills.
I gave them a B. I feel Adiba's being a bit harsh, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Adiba's been really harsh. I gave them an A.
But I think you'd give bloody Sheffield United a C. That's where you're at right now.
I think you're just expecting too much from one day.
Nah, man.
Let's move on in terms of the next team, Leeds.
We expect United to win. We're not
Well,
happy
you
with
haven't got the
Champions
manager.
League score.
Let's move on, Adil, in terms of Leeds and their progress this season. What did you make of Leeds?
Yeah, Leeds been breath of fresh air. I think they play some of the best football in the league. The end of season was super encouraging because they were safe. They weren't going to get into Europe, but you knew they were going to give 100% still. And they did. They delivered and they improved. And they seem to have fixed their issue around playing the top teams towards the end. And I just think, their signings were great. Just a positive season. I've got a lot of excitement to see where they go next season. I think they're going to keep pushing and improving under Bielsa.
Bills?
Yeah, Bielsa has transformed that team. When you look at the team that played, I think last game of the season, most of them played in his first game in the Championship. So I think that tells you a lot about Bielsa's ability as a manager, how he's taken them from Championship. I think when they were like near the bottom when he took over to what was a 9th place finish in the league. So absolutely outstanding season. Bamford, 17 goals. Amazing, really. You could name quite all of their players. I think they all performed really, really well. And you can see that they are the fittest team in the league, non-stop running. And I think that makes a massive difference. And they could only get better from here.
I think, what the biggest thing was, I think we mentioned in previous Leeds podcasts for their games, is the adaptation towards the end of the season in terms of their philosophy. They don't go as gung-ho as much as they used to do before. So I think that's the biggest change. You can see the players are adjusting to the league and understanding the league more, and so is the manager, and that's only good for next season. And I love watching Leeds. The way they play, I don't think there's any football fan that don't enjoy watching Leeds.
And the atmosphere on the last game there, Ellen Road next season, if they get full attendance, is going to be rocking. It's going to be one of the hardest fixtures for any away team. It's always going to be going to Ellen Road, because their fan base is just unbelievable, the way they support the team.
It's good to have Leeds back in the league.
It's definitely they were missed. You can see the massive fan base they have. In terms of next season, what do they need to improve? Just quick ones, boys. Adil?
Yeah, I think they got excellent centre backs. I do think they need the right back and a left back. I think full backs is the area they need to improve. They do need cover for Phillips, because when they had the blip, it was when Phillips got injured, and I just think in general, just every team could always do it, increasing the competition. But their best deal in the summer could be keeping Rafinha, keeping their best players.
Bills.
Agreed. The best signings will be keeping their best players. Obviously, that team's got a good understanding with the coach, and maybe bringing a nice creative player and a backup to Patrick Bamford.
That's what I would say as well. They definitely need a clinical striker up there, because the Bamford does miss a lot of chances. But I think Bielsa loves Bamford, so anyone that comes will be second fiddle to him. In terms of the grade, the best player, who would you say was their best player? Quick one, guys.
Rafinha for me.
Yeah, Rafinha, I agree.
Dallas is close seconds.
Harrison was up there as well.
Dallas as well. I thought played every position for the club. Left back, right.
Also, very good and important goals.
The disappointment was Rodrigo.
Yeah.
He only got a chance near the end, but he's got bags of ability. When he joined, he was the number 9 for Spain, and I think he missed out this season because of not playing enough, which is a shame. But yeah, I've given them an A star.
You giving them an A star?
Same. Yeah, I agree.
I give them an A. Okay.
Harsh.
All right, quick ones because we are running out of time. Newcastle, Ade, what did you make of their season?
Yeah, I think Newcastle done really good to turn it around, and I think part of it is they're quite fortunate in the sense that, and we said that in the podcast that they brought Graham Jones in as a coach, and they kind of changed their philosophy to the wing back system, three up top, you know, and it was a risk at the time. It took a bit of time to gel, but because of the teams below them just weren't picking up points, they eventually managed to have enough time to gel and really make the system work. And by the end of the season, they were one of the most informed teams. They were really excited. And I think the good thing, the reason why I think it's ended up being a decent season for them is because they actually moved away from the Benitez era during the season. By changing the system, by changing the outlook, it feels like they've actually moved away from, and Bruce has now put his stamp on the team. I gave them a D as a grading.
Bills, quickly on them.
Yeah, like I said, they were under pressure, as Adubai said, but I think Steve Bruce done really well. If you look at his stats, it's a lot better than Benitez, so I think he deserves a lot more credit. I think Joe Willock was an inspired signing, got a lot of crucial goals for them.
And we have to give them credit for that, January signings.
Yeah, and yeah, I'll give them a B.
I've given them a B as well. I thought they were fantastic toward the end and really deserved to be finishing 12th place. Last 3 minutes on Sheffield. What did you make of them?
I thought they were terrible. I think everything about them was disappointing. I think Wilder wasted way too much time mixing it with the big managers, complaining about the subs and everything, and not enough focus on the team. And I just think kind of exposed the problem with a lot of these promising managers.
Do you think it was too big for his boot?
Yeah, no, it's not necessarily that, but the thing is, you know, he should have focused on his team instead of keep going on about it. No one else was going on about it. You know, he didn't need to be the guy challenging Klopp. You know, he needed to focus on his team. But the problem with him is he wasted a lot of money. And if people going on like, oh, he had a lot of money and he wasted it on Brewster. You know, he's based on a whole load of signings that none of them were even Premiership level. Mm-hmm. So I think that's what happens to a lot of promising managers that come up from the Championship. Unless there's a director of football who knows the European market, they really struggle because they only understand the British market. And that's where really Sheffield United's season went downhill, was the transfer market. They wasted money on average players. And then they had problems with their, you know, Lundstrom, Fleck, all wanting new contracts, big pay rises, which the club wasn't willing to do. So, you know, it ended up being a poor season for me. I gave them an F.
Because I gave them an F as well. I thought they were really poor considering how well they did last year. I thought they were gonna probably add a few more and kick on, but it was just poor from them. Bills?
Yeah, just an F. Like it took them nearly half a season to get a win. So you can't ignore that fact. They stopped playing for him. The defense was absolutely atrocious. Maybe losing Dean Henderson contributed to that, and as Adivai said, they did get a lot of signings, but they weren't very good and didn't improve the team. So that's where they got it wrong for me.
I mean, thank you both for coming on today. And guys, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and thank you for watching.